Snodgrass Malone coming at you with a review this afternoon, a retro review actually, of a product that I had been putting off buying forever and loved the looks of it. I was always kind of on the fence. I watched a couple reviews and I guess the figure is controversial at best, but it's the Avengers Age of Ultron Mark 45 Mafex Iron Man figure, and he's number 22 in the series, made by Metacom Toy. Very basic box here. You know, Mafex. I'm not a huge fan of their packaging, but it gets its job done. The figure is. I was blown away by the presentation of the figure. The Mark 45 is my favorite of the Iron Man armors. Really like it a lot. So let's move the figure in here and let's talk about this thing, because I think it's definitely a piece worth talking about. And my advice to anybody would be, if you've been putting off buying this figure like I did, I made the mistake of, I saw it on Big Bad Toy Store. I think it was a decent price. Then it disappeared. Then I freaked out. Then I went on Amazon and paid a little bit more for it. And I'm glad that I did, but I could have gotten it for a more affordable price and quicker shipping had I bought it when Big Bad Toy Store has it. So if for any reason they end up restocking this thing, I would say get it. The biggest complaint most people have about this guy is that he's kind of a loose. You see how he's shaking? And yes, he is. I mean, the Mafex figures, especially this Iron Man, has an amazing look to it. I mean, this looks like 1/12 scale, Hot Toys. It's very easy to pose. Like, the joints are just smooth. It's kind of like a high quality posable model. And that's kind of the label I would give it. But you do have to be careful with like these shoulder pads. But let's do a quick run over the articulation. And that's probably the biggest part of this figure, is its unique articulation and just the scope of what I think Mafex tried to do with this thing is really impressive. And what you can see is, not so much with this guy, but he can look up, goes both ways. Then the neck's got some posability. But what's really unique, let's get to the ab crunch here. Maybe I can show you a little bit better this way. You see how it kind of pops out? Like it's segmented, so you can get more of a range with him. And you have to be careful to line these parts up to get it, but it clips back down. Everything is segmented so that you can get great posability. And then once you get him in the pose you just kind of click him back into place. You see how that shoulder comes out? You can take that shoulder, you can go 360 degrees with him right there. Same thing with the head. You've got the ab crunch with the breaking divide. Same thing over here with the shoulder. And you'll want to be careful of these shoulder pads right here. You see how that pops out? A great posability. And he really kind of moves with ease. Kind of a nice pose right there. The detailing on the figure is amazing though. Like, you can see every line, every crease. You don't have any opening flaps in the back. And you kind of like to see that on Iron Man figures. You're used to seeing it in the movies. I tend to keep the shoulders out on this guy. And I really just dig overall. I love the posability. I'm very careful when I pick this guy up because I don't want to it's not like picking up a Black Series figure to where you really have to fight to pose it. You kind of have to be careful, but I think it's so worth it. The look and the overall quality, and then it just clicks right back in there. Look at that. You can get it. There we go. And it's just amazing. I mean, I can't even imagine what it took to develop this figure. I always liked the Mark 50. It has a very smooth, rounded look to the armor. I like how even the arc reactor, when you run your fingers across it, it has a slight bit of flatness right there, but it kind of goes with the curve. But yeah, you can kind of hear that looseness. Really great figure. I mean, this, I guess this is the pressed Iron Man. He's, you know, they're not going to make an Iron Man 4. Yeah, no Armor Wars for you, big guy. But, you know, hey, who knows? Maybe he'll survive the Infinity War Part 2. Yeah, he's, very, like I said, very easy to pose. And let's just see if I can... I'm going to put the stand away here. Let's just see if I can stand him up. Yeah, okay, he stands. It's not so bad. Like I said, you know, absolutely great looking figure. And he also comes with a sculpted RDJ head with, there we go, with Robert Downey Jr.'s likeness in there. And you can snap that on really easily by just grabbing. Just gently pull it off right there. Kind of am. It's a little thin plastic peg, so I wouldn't be too forceful with this stuff, folks. Especially if you want your figure to be around for a while. Okay, it seems to be on there. Here we go. I mean, that's kind of what he looks. Well, came off. Ugh. Go back on here. There we go. Well, once you get the unmasked head on there, you're really not going to be doing a lot of posing with it. But yeah. And the hands are kind of a two-part deal where it's, you pull this off. Let's see if I can get this to work. And this is the nerve-wracking part of it. This is, yeah, it's, okay, there it comes. And then you have to, you remove the hand, then you remove this kind of shield for the back part of the hand, and then you have to put on a different piece that's kind of up if you want to get a repulsor effect on there. So you do that, and here we go. Here's one of the repulsor hands, and it's really weird because I kind of find that you just kind of come down at an angle with it, and you want to just slowly finagle the bagel. There we go. Right there. And it falls off. So this is the aggravating part of the figure. I mean, it's, you know, switching out hands on this guy, not a lot of fun. You know, is it going to stay? And should it stay or should it go? But is it going to stay? Are you going to be able to set it up and display it? You know, that's not so bad. But, you know, just kind of, you know, take that Rogers. Yeah, pretty cool effect. You've got enough repulsor effects or blast effects to kind of put in the boots right here. You can kind of have him flying. You know, maybe coming down like that. Kind of like a relaxed, maybe he's target practicing. Yeah. But, you know, as you can see, the biggest complaint is, you know, once again, that looseness complaint is a very valid complaint by a lot of the people that have bought this figure, and it's one of the more controversial things about it. It's just to try to get it to stay in that, you know, it just wants to fall. And maybe let's see if we can pull the arm out and get it to stay. Okay, there we go. Not too, see, but watch, I'm going to let it go, and it's just going to fall down again. Yeah, that's the biggest complaint with the figure, and it is very valid. I mean, the figure is very, very loose, but it's just like, you know, it's kind of like that girl on prom night. You know, yeah, I mean, she's loose, but damn, she looks good. I mean, and that's kind of how this figure is. You know, it's kind of faulty with the posability, but the overall quality of its appearance it made me want it, and I'm very glad that I bought it. This is one. Whoa. Okay, look at that. There we go. The shoulder pad fell off. There we go. Yeah, that's. Yeah, this is the problem with the figure. Yes, it looks good, but this is aggravating because now you got to fight to get this shoulder piece back on there. This thing's, I've had the shoulder pieces fly off a lot, a whole lot. not a good thing. So I'm just, okay, there we go. Finally got the fist back on there. You know, I don't want to put the repulsor hands on this figure because I just don't feel like he can hold the pose with it. But the I really think the mask up looks pretty good. Now, if you look at the one that I got here, one of the eyes is slightly off. I don't know if the focus can show that. There we go. Come on, there we go. And Robert Downey Jr. had, you know, from what I remember, and this is just nitpicking here, his eyes were more of a dark brown, not a light brown hazel color. These kind of have a hazel color to them, so maybe repainting the eyes a little bit of a darker shade would help bring out the likeness. But it is a great looking figure, and at the end of the day, that's why I bought it. And the head sculpt, the Iron Man mask sculpt is just beautiful. It's really a lot of fun to look at. I can just look at this figure all day, and you know, to me, it looks like, you know, somebody just added points of articulation to a cut of a Kaya statue, and it's just a lot of fun to pose. Other than the looseness, because it, like I said, it is very easy to pose. So if you're looking for something that you can put, you know, you can put this in some dynamic poses, but you kind of have to hold it there. I did try getting the pose on the back of the box where he's landing, which I thought that would look really cool. That one right there, and I never could do it. I could probably play with it for a while and get it there, but you know, I kind of got the willies, and as you saw when that shoulder pad flew off, you know, you kind of approach this thing with some caution. But it is a gorgeous figure for what it is, and it's not a cheap figure. You know, I think a lot of the complaints about this were, you know, at this price point, some of these things that people are complaining about should definitely be addressed, and it shouldn't be problems. You know, like, you know, holding a pose for a action figure that's in the $75 range, which I think was the original list price of this guy. Yeah, you want something that's going to hold a pose, but it still looks amazing, and it's Mafex. I think Mafex, they get things wrong sometimes, but what they get right, and is their aesthetics. This looks shiny. It looks like Iron Man. You know, it's a great looking Iron Man. I think it's probably one of the best 1/12 Iron Man figures that I've ever seen. Now, it's kind of fun to put him against his Civil War counterpart, and I wanted to do this to make a point. Now, this is a Marvel Legends Mark 46, which is the armor that came or was developed by Tony Stark after this for Civil War. It's the one that he first teamed up with Spider-Man in. And this is from the Captain America Spider-Man 3-pack from the Civil War film a few years ago. And what I never really understood was, to me, the Mark 45 looked more advanced, more fleshed out than the Mark 46. And then if you go from this to the armor that he had in Infinity War, which was a very, you know, a nano-based organic armor, this looks more like the transition. It should have went from this should have been the Civil War, and then you get to the Infinity War armor. And overall, you know, like I said, you know, I am probably being biased. No, a lot of people that are huge fans of the Mark 46, and it was a very popular suit of armor on the Hot Toys Mark 46, and that's an absolutely stunning figure. If you get a chance to pick one of those up, if you can find them at a decent price, go for it. But I still, you know, my heart's set. Whoa, there he fell down again. Like I said, very loose. I don't think I have to convince you of that after this video. But and that's what makes the review so frustrating, is, you know, you have such a hard time reviewing something that you kind of have to fight to do just some basic things. And you're never quite sure of the guy. So if you get it, and I would suggest getting it if you like the Mark 45, because there's not, you know, as far as I can tell, there's not a lot of availability for this version of the armor. I think the Figure Arts version of this, I priced that not too long ago, and it's extremely expensive. And it probably, it doesn't look as good as this one, but it definitely poses better from the videos I've seen. But yeah, if you're wanting a Mark 45, and if you're like me, like that's my Iron Man, that's the suit of armor that you really like, it is worth it. It's aggravating, but it's worth it. And, you know, maybe at some point they'll re-release this with, you know, better articulation that can actually hold a pose. But let's, I want to compare him to some of the other Mafex products because, you know, just this just puts me on a Mafex kick. And I love the company. So here we go with side by side with the Mafex Homecoming Spider-Man. I think these two figures look great together. Kind of keeping it in the MCU there. But let's don't end it there. Here's another one of his Mafex counterparts. This is Justice League Cyborg. Very, very nice figure. And let's put him next to Mafex Bank Robber Joker from The Dark Knight. There we go. And come on, Joker. Stand up for me there, big guy. All right. And yeah, so Mafex definitely tends to, they're really good at likenesses. I think they're better at likenesses than a lot of the figure arts products. If you're thinking about switching Mafex, you know, from figure arts, then you're going to get more durability. I don't know about that, but you will definitely get better likenesses with Mafex. Here's the Mafex Batman Begins Batman, and I'm having trouble. I think every one of these guys saved the Spider-Man, but he was on a stand. Kind of had trouble standing, maybe except for the Cyborg. Okay, Batman just doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. All right, kind of got him there. But yeah, Mafex definitely makes some good stuff. I've had a lot of fun with this Iron Man figure, and it's definitely not made me shy away from Mafex products. I think they're a company that they kind of fly by the seat of their pants, and that's what makes them majestic, man. They go for they kind of go for the gold, and they don't always hit the mark, but they really do a good job nailing those likenesses, doing some groundbreaking posability. You know, on this Spider-Man and this Iron Man, they've got some very unique features. This Spider-Man is absolutely one of my favorite all-time Spider-Man figures, and I own the Hot Toys Homecoming Spider-Man, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the Mafex Spidey a lot better. So not to take the focus off Iron Man, but definitely they do look really good together. So if you want to do an MCU shelf, and you want to do the best of Spider-Man, MCU, and Iron Man right now, as far as what's on the market, I think these two guys are visually the best two figures out there for that. But I hope you enjoyed the review. You know, comment, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and you know, find somebody and do something nice for them today. Do something positive. Take care.